Justin, how are you feeling today?
What was the tension like in that room?
Why couldn't you guys settle yesterday?
Hope you guys stay nice and warm.
Thank you.
There's always a chance.
Is everyone required to come back tomorrow?
It'll be on a different matter.
But everyone will be back.
Yeah.
When will you resume the
I don't know that we will.
You think this will go to trial?
With us.
Brian, do you think this will go to trial?
Thanks. I do. I'm looking forward to it.
Imagine you're an employee who's just decided to leave your job. Before walking out the door, your employer asks for your work-issued phone. Sounds normal, but here's the catch. They had no policies restricting personal use. In fact, they encouraged it. When you asked to keep your old phone number, they helped port it onto their network and even covered the monthly fee. Everything seemed fine until the day before your resignation. Without warning, your phone and laptop are seized. A full digital forensic sweep is run, supposedly to ensure you haven't taken anything or done them wrong. You agree to provide your passcode to facilitate a transfer of the phone, thinking it's a limited and controlled process. You even wait hours at a Verizon store to complete the transfer, but it never happens. Months later, your private phone and all its personal data end up in a major media outlet, the New York Times. This is exactly what happened to Genevieve. The breach wasn't just a violation of privacy, it was a launchpad for a legal and media storm involving one of Hollywood's most powerful couples, Blake Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. Evidence scraped without consent from a personal device, taken from iCloud and private messages, and handed to a celebrity embroiled in a legal battle? That's the situation here. In the coming weeks, Wayfair is expected to file a motion in limine specifically addressing how egregiously this evidence was collected. This motion could determine which evidence is allowed in court and shine a light on the misuse of private data, potentially reshaping the entire trajectory of the case. Everything on Jen Abel's phone was at Blake Lively's disposal, from 316 megabytes of data, a database containing hundreds of thousands of messages. Only a few select messages were cherry-picked to make Justin Baldoni, Jen, and even Melissa appear malicious. This was all done through a sham lawsuit that sued no one, involved no judge, and allowed the data to be handed over to Blake and Ryan Reynolds with no consequences. For months, the parties affected never knew the extent of the breach. Until recently, even understanding the magnitude of what had been done was difficult. While everyone knew that accessing someone else's phone was wrong, this went far beyond typical misconduct. Under California Penal Code 502, the Comprehensive Computer Data Access and Fraud Act, it is illegal to knowingly access a computer system or network without permission to copy or use data. By obtaining Jen's passcode under false pretenses and scraping 316 megabytes of private messages, this qualifies as unauthorized access, essentially hacking. Stephanie Jones claimed she didn't hack the phone. She only used the passcode to access the data stored on the device. But the reality, confirmed in the Cellbrite extraction report, Exhibit 199, attached to Wayfair's summary judgment motion, shows a full file system extraction, a technical deep dive far beyond ordinary access. The extraction wasn't just reading messages, it pulled all system files, hidden data, and even deleted messages, capturing the entire digital guts of the phone. To visualize it, a simple look at the phone is like peering through a window to see what's on the table. A full file extraction? That's like removing the roof, lifting the floorboards, and opening every drawer and safe in the house. Every nook, cranny, and hidden file is exposed. Deleted texts, old passwords saved in keychain for emails, streaming accounts, and even personal accounts for pharmacies or doctors, all captured. Nothing remained private. And yet, out of this massive trove, only 122 pages of cherry-picked messages were presented to the press or in court. These were carefully curated to create a narrative that was explosive and misleading, while the majority of context remained hidden. This wasn't just invasion of privacy, it was a methodical weaponization of personal data to shape public perception and drive a legal narrative, all facilitated by a loophole in a sham lawsuit. The scope of this extraction demonstrates how profoundly personal and sensitive the breach was. It wasn't casual or superficial, it was deep, invasive, and comprehensive, touching every corner of Jen's digital life. And this is why the upcoming motion in limine is so critical. It challenges not just the cherry-picked evidence, but the entire chain of access and misuse, highlighting that the root of this so-called evidence came from an unlawful and unauthorized act. Essentially, Stephanie Jones made a full copy of Jen Abel's phone, giving her access to nearly every corner of Jen's life, without Jen's knowledge or consent. If she had wanted to, she could have accessed usernames, passwords, messages, photos, videos, voice notes, and other sensitive data across the device. The extraction went far beyond normal backups. Apps that normally block backups, like WhatsApp, Signal, and Snapchat, were included. Even location breadcrumbs were collected, revealing a detailed map of where Jen had been, regardless of whether she had been actively using a Maps app. This is similar to how fitness or health apps track steps or movement. The device collects data passively. Stephanie only had the passcode, not the passwords for emails or other accounts. But the software used, Cellbrite, bypassed all the security systems designed to protect Jen. It dug deep, extracted everything, and then handed it over. If messages were being received in real time, she could have accessed texts Jen hadn't even seen yet. The extraction was so invasive that it would normally require a search warrant or judicial oversight to be lawful. To grasp the scale, 316 megabytes of data translates to roughly 150,000 to 200,000 pages of paper, and yet only 122 pages were cherry-picked and released. That means hundreds of thousands of private messages, thousands of photos, videos, and voice notes, all sifted through to find the exact items to use against Jen, Justin, and Wayfair. The front page of the extraction report lists 106 attachments linking to this massive cache of media files scattered throughout the phone. This wasn't just an invasive search, it was a comprehensive digital sweep of Jen's entire footprint, far beyond anything she could control, and conducted without her consent. The cherry-picked pages presented to the media and court were a tiny fraction of what was actually extracted, a deliberate selection designed to construct a narrative, while the vast majority of context remained hidden. Stephanie Jones didn't just access Jen Abel's messages, she dug through her entire gallery, sorted through deleted messages, and chose exactly what to present to fit the narrative. Deleted messages weren't gone, Stephanie still had access, and Jen had no idea where her data was, who had it, or what had been done with it. Imagine your entire digital life, years of private communications, in someone else's hands, curated and weaponized without your knowledge. The judge overseeing this, Judge Lyman, seemed to take a narrow view of the situation. He didn't appear to grasp the forensic severity. By comparison, in a case I handled years ago with Joshua Duggar, forensic experts had to make a copy of his computer to reconstruct deleted files. That required probable cause and a search warrant because a court had to authorize the extraction. But here, Stephanie acted as judge, jury, and executioner. No judicial oversight, no guardrails. No permission, simply extracting every corner of Jen's phone. The scope is staggering. Jen's phone is essentially a handheld computer, and the extraction captured messages, attachments, photos, videos, and system files. The cherry-picked 122 pages represent only a fraction of the 316 megabytes of data, hundreds of thousands of private messages. Many individuals with a reasonable expectation of privacy were implicated, including Melissa Nathan, Katie Cassis, Brianna Koslow, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Matthew Mitchell, and Jen herself. Even Matthew Mitchell, a Jones Works employee at the time, had his private communications accessed without consent. The implications are vast. For some, like Justin and Jamie, countersuits are ongoing. For others, the exposure could have been catastrophic if mishandled. Supporters of Blake Lively sometimes claim they're just mad they got caught. But this misses the point. The act itself was illegal and invasive, not just inconvenient. California law makes this particularly serious. Under the California Penal Code 502, unauthorized access to a computer or device constitutes hacking. Even more, under the California Invasion of Privacy Act, it is a crime to intercept or record communications transmitted via cellular phone without consent from all parties. The forensic extraction synced and recorded messages, including those from group chats where participants did not consent, which could result in fines of up to $2,500 per message. In short, this was not just a privacy violation. It was an invasive, unauthorized, and potentially criminal extraction of digital communications executed without oversight or accountability, exposing the flaws in both corporate and celebrity power in handling private data. While Stephanie Jones was scraping Jen Abel's phone, the device was actively connected to iCloud, and that iCloud data was being deeply mirrored on the phone itself, in locations inaccessible to ordinary users. Only a forensic-grade extraction tool like Cellebrite could locate and copy this data. According to Jen's filings, she did not disconnect her phone from iCloud until January, after she finally regained access with Apple's help, having never been an Apple user before. This raises critical questions. Did Stephanie continue to make repeated copies of the phone while it was still linked to iCloud? Could she view messages in real time as they were being sent? Because iCloud automatically syncs messages, all she had to do was open the phone and she could see incoming iMessages. Claims from her attorneys that they only accessed what was on the phone are misleading. In reality, a full forensic extraction was conducted, going far deeper than a normal phone backup. This is the level of intrusion typically reserved for criminal investigations, requiring search warrants, cases involving highly sensitive crimes such as child exploitation. Yet here, this same process was applied without Jen's consent, and the data was handed directly to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. The scale is staggering: 316 megabytes of data, including hundreds of thousands of messages, attachments, deleted files, and hidden system data. Wayfair, Jen, and others had no awareness of the full scope of this extraction until the documents were unsealed. It appears this was intentionally concealed, giving Lively and Jones a massive advantage while hiding the truth from the parties affected. The implications are profound. If this case proceeds and this evidence is deemed admissible despite the illegal and invasive means of collection, it could set a dangerous precedent. In short, this isn't just a civil issue. It could constitute criminal misconduct. Allowing a trial to proceed on evidence obtained through this process would protect no one and could unjustly empower individuals to exploit private data without oversight. The stakes are enormous, not only for the parties involved, but for privacy and legal precedent as a whole. Essentially, if this case moves forward without consequence, those responsible would be rewarded for the very crimes they committed, for breaching privacy, violating multiple legal protections, and subjecting Jen Abel, Justin Baldoni, Wayfair, and others to embarrassment, public shaming, and ridicule. The scale of this misconduct is egregious. From a forensic perspective, what Stephanie Jones and her team did goes far beyond a simple phone backup. This wasn't just copying a phone or accessing a hard drive. They conducted the same full-device forensic extraction that the Department of Homeland Security uses in criminal investigations to take down predators, and they did it without judicial oversight, consent, or lawful authority. And the motive? Because they were angry, because someone left and took a client. That's an abuse of power at the highest level. It's deeply concerning that no criminal consequences appear to have been pursued. The judicial system has failed to hold these parties accountable, dismissing claims under the Stored Communications Act and wiretapping statutes. The lack of action undermines faith in privacy protections and the rule of law. Something has to turn the corner here. This isn't just a civil issue. It's a clear demonstration of how private data can be weaponized without accountability, and it demands scrutiny.